In this episode of True Sports Lore, we look at the meteoric rise of Jonas Vingegaard from runners-up in the Tour de France to becoming a yellow jersey champion. He's currently locked in a battle with Tadej Pogacar at the 2023 Tour de France. Before we share why we think he'll win, we have to go back a year. 2022 started where 2021 left off. Tadej Pogacar was dominating. Jonas Vingegaard and Pogacar went head-to-head in the Tirreno Adriatico, and the outcome wasn't even close. In the Queen stage, Pogacar destroyed Vingegaard. Pogacar was dominating so much he even had time to play rock paper scissors with teammate Rafał Majka for a stage win in Tour of Slovenia. Meanwhile, in the Basque Country, Roglic and Vingegaard were practicing their dual captaincy. Both riders have tremendous climbing and time trialing abilities, which make them ideal for 3-week Grand Tours. They finished first and second in the Dauphiné, the ultimate lead-up race to the Tour de France. The stage was set. The 3 best riders and the 2 best teams of the current generation entered the 2022 Tour de France. Rafał Majka vs Sepp Kuss, Marc Soler vs Steven Kruijswijk, Mikkel Bjerg vs Wout van Aert, Tadej Pogacar vs Primož Roglic and Jonas Vingegaard. On stage 4, there's debate whether Wout van Aert could have waited and helped his teammates gain time on Tadej Pogacar, but regardless, he won the stage. From that point onwards, it was the Tadej Pogacar show. Stage 5 included cobblestones. While Vingegaard was having bike troubles and Roglic hitting a hay bale, Pogacar was busy on the front pacing. Between stage 5 and 6, Pogacar had taken over 30 seconds on Vingegaard and even more on Roglic before any real climbs had been ridden yet. Stage 7 finished on one of the most iconic climbs in cycling, the Planche des Belles Filles. It's here we saw the first signs of the major strengths that Jonas Vingegaard possesses. He's calm, collected, but also lethal. Vingegaard attacked on the steepest gravel section, and just as it looked like the elastic would snap, Pogacar came back and sprinted to take the win. While Vingegaard was very much in the race, Roglic was slowly heading out of the back of the GC. The crash had taken too much out of him. This would turn out to be a blessing for the race. One of the best stages we've ever witnessed happened on stage 11, and this is also why we think Jonas Vingegaard is the favourite to win this year's Tour de France. Jumbo-Visma are on the forefront of tactical manoeuvres in cycling. Most new spectators would think it's whoever is the strongest that wins, which can be the case, but strategy plays a major role. With 70 kilometers to go, Tish Benoot launches Roglic for an early attack, forcing Pogacar to close it down. Over the Col de Telegraph, Roglic attacks again, and you can start to see Pogacar panic. While Pogacar may be the strongest climber at this point in the race, he can't let Roglic get back into the race, and his teammates are nowhere to be seen. With 55 kilometers to go, you see Vingegaard and Roglic take turns putting the screws into Pogacar. Every single time, Pogacar's battery depletes little by little as he's forced to respond. Roglic is winning many Danish hearts here. Vingegaard attacks again on the steep section with 4.6 kilometers to go, and Pogacar is done. He's dropped. It's essentially the end of the GC hopes as Jumbo-Visma has pulled off a tactical masterpiece. Pogacar rolls in 2 minutes and 22 seconds down on Jonas Vingegaard. If you've not watched our previous episode on Jonas Vingegaard, we highly recommend you do, as it explains what makes him such a great leader. Even legends of the sport, Chris Froome and Lance Armstrong, have sung Vingegaard's praises. With last year's Tour de France in mind, let's look at the 2023 season. Vingegaard normally builds up form slowly during a season, with the peak being the Tour de France, whereas Tadej Pogacar has the phenomenal ability to build to a peak early and hold it for a sustained period of time. Same pattern somewhat happened this year, as Pogacar destroyed the early season, with seemingly winning everything prior to crashing out of Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Vingegaard, on the other hand, started strong in Camino, Dauphiné and the Basque Country, but when he went head-to-head with Pogacar in Paris-Nice, he lost. Not the end of the world, if you remember how the 2022 season started in Tirreno Adriatico. Comparing UAE and Jumbo-Visma squads on paper for the Tour de France, they're quite evenly matched, and this year it's UAE who's brought the dual captaincy card with Adam Yates. Could we see them use the exact same strategy against Jonas Vingegaard? Stage 1 played out that way already, with Adam Yates winning the stage and taking the yellow jersey. It was cagey and we saw the first attacks from Pogacar and Vingegaard, but nothing could separate them. Stage 2, we got a glimpse of what the race would look like under UAE control. It didn't inspire confidence. Torn between letting the brake go and keeping them on a leash, UAE could not make up their mind. Yates, albeit in the yellow jersey, was leading out Pogacar for bonus seconds. After the top of the climb, Pogacar wanted to keep going, but Vingegaard wanted to wait as he had Wout going for the stage win. Interestingly, the Belgian media lashed out at Vingegaard for not helping Wout more in this stage, as he was ultimately won by a timely attack from Victor Lafay. After the stage, you could see Pogacar making fun of Wout van Aert's tantrum. This may come back to haunt him, as we saw in Plan B documentary from Jumbo-Visma that Wout van Aert uses moments like these to drive himself forward. Pogacar was also spotted using an ice bath in the car on the way to the hotel. Out of all the interesting marginal gain strategies we've seen over the years, this one may be up there as the funniest, but also the smartest. Stage 5 was another tactical stage. Jay Hindley snuck into the breakaway, something Pogacar had tried to do early in the stage, but without success. Jumbo-Visma was keen to put their stamp on the stage. They put super domestique Sepp Kuss on the front, who obliterated the peloton until it was only Pogacar and Vingegaard left. Vingegaard attacked with his best watts per kilo performance of his career, doing 6.9 watts per kilo for 21 minutes, even better than Roglic and Pogacar in 2020. Jonas Vingegaard is flying. On the Tourmalet stage, he broke the ascent record as well. Jumbo-Visma wanted to put the race out of reach. They invested everything into this stage, with Wout van Aert in break and the rest of the squad pacing in the peloton. They wanted to drop Pogacar for good. Luckily for the entertainment of the race, it didn't turn out that way. Pogacar attacked on the final climb and dropped Vingegaard. How did he recover so quickly? We've seen miraculous recoveries like this in the past with Fabio Aru in the Giro, one day looking like he's ready to abandon and the next he's winning back-to-back stages. This is gearing up to be one of the best Tour de France's of all time, especially when we look at the stages ahead. Stage 9 will be especially tough. It's the 9th consecutive day of racing and the final 4.1 kilometers average over 11%. We'll see Pogacar and Vingegaard duke it out before the rest day. Stage 13 is Bastille Day, a massive day of climbing and weights. Expect many French riders to try and get in the break. The final climb of the day, however, will see GC action, as it's 17 kilometers at 7% average. We expect Sepp Kuss to be the difference here as he holds the pace high. Stage 14 is another crazy day with fast descents to the finish line. We saw last year how both Vingegaard and Pogacar are not afraid to risk everything to gain an advantage even on the downhill. Stage 15, 16 and 17 will determine who wins the race. We expect the race to be close coming into this set of stages, but going out of it, there'll be massive time gaps. For Pogacar to win this tour, he has to put in an effort similar to that of the final time trial against Roglic a few years prior. Then let's not forget stage 20. Short mountain stages always have the potential to upset the rankings. We've seen it in the Dauphiné all the time. We've seen it in the Vuelta a España with Alberto Contador. Why not have it happen here in the Tour de France? We ultimately believe that Jonas Vingegaard will emerge victorious come the end of the race, as his team strength is out of this world. Sepp Kuss and Wout van Aert can single-handedly be the difference maker on certain stages. When it comes to climbing, Vingegaard and Pogacar are quite even. The main risk that Vingegaard has is that Pogacar continues to gain form into the race and starts clawing back bonus seconds after bonus seconds. Let us know in the comments below who you think will win and why.